Hey everybody, how you doing? You'll notice that I've put on my white face today, which I hope nobody finds offense with. What can I say? I heard that Justin Trudeau was roundly castigated for dressing up and putting makeup on at an Arabian Nights dance. He dressed up as an Arabian.
18 years ago.
Like that's... I mean, of all the fucking crimes this guy's guilty of, that's the one the media is going to seize on? Really?
You know what? We live in a world where...
Fucking stupid people rule. That's where
things seldom are what they appear to be. How about that?
Well, that's the polite way of saying it's run by stupid people.
Well,
man, smart people know better than to try to run the world.
Maybe being human is, not so glamorous.
What do you mean not so glamorous?
Well,
it's exactly what you make of it.
To be human is to err.
To be human is to err. Well, I suppose
that's not H-A-I-R.
That's yesterday's joke, Ed.
Okay.
Let's see. So we have Bruce Linton coming today. Bruce is going to talk to us about the 50 companies that he's just joined as CEO. No, just kidding. Bruce is going to model his most recent billboard for us and describe what we're seeing there. No, just kidding. Bruce is going to talk about the 6 companies that he has joined as an advisor.
Advisor.
Yeah, something like that. We have Prad Shaker here is from CB2 Insights, which was the first time I've ever talked to him. He's been on the show before, and that was really interesting because I think his company is going to be like one of these layers of the Cannabis 3.0 movement, which is pharmaceutical cannabis.
Right.
And that's going to be an interesting conversation that I think you will all enjoy extremely. I apologize again for having this voice. I smoked a little bit too much vape last night. I was trying to get a handle on which vape was the most toxic of all the ones available at my local corner store that they're selling to 16-year-olds.
Yeah, you know what hit the news today? A student in London, Ontario is in hospital. London, Ontario, which is where I am.
Canada's first vape overdose case.
And this poor young whippersnapper.
Yes.
He's in the hospital and he's got acute
vaporitis.
He's got acute face.
Cute ass.
I said face.
He's got acute. What? Why are you talking about people
what do you call
like
it
this?
when you got a lung problem? What do you call it? Not pneumonia, but.
Well, you could call it pulmonary edema. No, I think that's a YouTube.
Whatever. Look, he's got issues with his lungs. That's
can't breathe.
Well,
I think that's
he's got something coming in.
Can't breathe.
In fact, you can't breathe. You're gonna.
Well, there's a number of issues you could have with your lungs. You could have cystic fibrosis.
Maybe the production team might be on to look it up on the internet, right? London, Ontario, gentlemen. Anyway, just saying.
Acute respiratory distress, says Donald.
Syndrome.
That means I can't breathe. Okay. We already got that. Let's keep it simple.
Okay, guys. Okay.
Big fat hello to all of our guests who are watching right now. I see a lot of familiar faces here. I want to acknowledge Mr. Lou, who is the first in the queue. Reefer Aljoin is here, of course. Christopher Kolabanov. Come on, Brucey. That's a good one. Shivet Ketostatic Bathanifi is here. Hello, Shivet.
Wow, that's amazing you could pronounce that.
Well, I'm on the ball. What can I say? It's 35 days no alcohol now. I'm going crazy. But
I know it gets to you after a while, eh?
Yeah, I can't believe I've got this personality lurking under all that alcoholic assholism. Jacob Rebbins. Hello, fellas. Hit the bong, Bruce. I don't think Bruce will be hitting the bomb. There's Faye Smith. Hello, Faye. Nice to see you. Mary Kemp. Hello. How are you? Hello.
Mary's been with us for
she's the most loyal fan we've got.
Love her.
Yeah, and she's always telling people to smash that like button. That's what I like about her. Anyways.
Thanks again, Mary. Thanks again.
So, in the macroeconomic universe, we had the Federal Reserve rides to the rescue of the repo market, the overnight money market, wherein banks cash up for any overnight operations. They need to smooth out the books for the next day so they stay on the right side of weight.
So is it like a little margin call? Is it like...
Well, so you
have to have so much cash, right?
First day they put in $53 billion. Wednesday they put in $75 billion. Today they put in another $75 billion. That's $178 billion.
Let's take a look at the bond market here.
Let's take a look at that bond market. Bond and market, that's starting to sound like a contradiction in terms.
Here we go.
Bond, market, market, bond, I don't think so.
Here we go. Okay, so
Wow, Mr. Lou 1990 has given a big push to the Hudson's Bay Corporation here. HBC. Would you invest in the Hudson's Bay Corporation, Ed?
You know what? I'm going to stick to talking. I can talk better than I can invest.
Well, I can't talk very well today. How's your investing going anyways?
It's all right. It's all right. You know what? It's all right.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not, you got to have capital, a lot of capital
to
make money.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's like going to Vegas with a small stack.
Yes, here's the lovely and talented Laura McCallum with some news for you.
Here's what's making cannabis headlines this Thursday, September 19th, 2019. Halo Labs Inc. has entered into an unsecured debt financing with a private arm's-length lender for a principal amount of up to $10 million. The agreement is for an initial 12-month term with interest accruing at a rate of 9%. Pursuant to the terms of the agreement, the lender has been issued 5 million common share purchase warrants of Halo. The company will take an initial draw under the agreement in the principal amount of $1 million to fund working capital for raw material in California. CannTrust Holdings has received notice from the Alberta Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis Commission advising the company that the AGLC has determined the products sold to the AGLC will be returned to the company. Under the terms of the supply agreement, goods sold to the AGLC may be returned to the company for any reason, and the company will be responsible for the cost of the goods and all expenses related to the return. The products to be returned are valued at approximately $1.3 million in the aggregate. CB2 Insights announced that My Access Clinics has selected CB2 Insights electric data capture software to manage patient data within its growing number of medical clinics in the UK. My Access Clinics is a wholly owned subsidiary of the medical cannabis company Althea Group Holdings. The Green Organic Dutchman announced that it is hosting site visits for analysts and its Hamilton and Valleyfield facilities on September 19th and 20th. Approximately 25 analysts from Canada and the United States participating. Ianthus Capital Holdings announced that its U.S. subsidiary has entered into an agreement to acquire Sierra Well. Sierra Well is a Nevada-based vertical licensed cannabis company with 2 dispensary locations and cultivation and production facilities. The acquisition will enhance Ianthus's presence and accelerate growth efforts in Nevada. Ignite International Brands has qualified to trade on the OTCQX Best Market via OTC Markets. Ignite upgraded to OTCQX from the Pink Market and trades under the symbol BILZF. MediPharm Labs has signed a multi-year contract manufacturing agreement for the filing and packaging of vaporizer devices for Kronos Group's adult use brand Cove. The initial term of the agreement is 2 years with an option for renewal. Weekend Unlimited will enter the hemp-derived CBD space with the Weekend Wellness product line for online and retail distribution and sales. Weekend Unlimited's Weekend Wellness CBD products are all hemp-derived and aimed at consumers living active lifestyles. 1933 Industries announced a licensing agreement with California-based Plug Play, a manufacturer of cannabis vaporizer cartridges, for a 12-month term. The company's subsidiary, Alternative Medicine Association, will manufacture distillate and vape pens under the Plug Play brand for distribution to dispensaries across Nevada. And that's your news for today. To keep up to date with all things cannabis, visit the Cannabis Daily on MidasLetter.com.
Whoa, yeah.
Amazing,
How about that, Can't Trust? Big topic of conversation in the chat room today, Can't Trust. Up 10%.
Well,
what do you think that is, Edward?
You know what? We've seen it with other companies that are looking to be kaput. Well, I think of Air Canada way back.
Yeah.
And, the thing stayed at a price, and the shorts tried to short it, and they kept getting bought in because there's this big contingent of shorts that have to
cover.
Well, so at some point they may get a call and say, "Hey, you got to cover," and they post it, right? And you can go buy that stock at a high price because I've seen it happen. So I'm not surprised by this.
I sent a note to Eric Paul today asking if I could buy the assets of CanTrust.
Really?
Yeah. Just the assets, not the liabilities.
No.
He didn't respond to me, though.
No, he's probably got a lot of people calling him about the assets.
You think so?
But probably less today than maybe 3 months ago.
I would think more.
Well, you know what? There's some people taking on
water?
Taking on water here. This better be an arc of gargantuan proportion.
An arc?
An arc.
Is it that bad? The inundation?
Well, It's, what do they call a major fire? Is it conflagration? Is it
conflagration?
Conflagration.
Major flood is an inundation.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Jesus.
Well, anyways, looking at the cannabis indices here.
Okay.
It's another day of blood in the streets, in the water. It's yet another day of gruesome. The gruesome.
And I know weed was particularly weak.
Well, the large cap index is off almost 5%.
Yeah.
Down 339 points. The small cap index is down 1.26% to 1087. The venture index is down 1.47%. And the CSE index is down 0.75%. So uniformly bad news across the board. Now, if we wanted to know which is of the large caps is the one who's dragging down the whole show, well, Canopy Growth is leading the charge to the downside, down 7.84%. Down $3 to 35.25. No clear indication of what news is causing that, if any. Aurora has lost another 2%, down 6.88. Boy, that thing's going to head to a penny stock in no time if they don't watch out.
James, do you recall us talking about, right around, if you look at the chart here of weed, right in here, we were talking and saying how that looked like it was getting ready for a move. Anyway. Why
That's
did that
nice,
happen?
What are you doing over there?
What?
Looks like you're making a little candy or something.
Okay, so, Jesus, what's going on? Right in here, we were talking about look at the move. Right to the Bollinger Band. Today, maybe it's overbought. I don't like the way this is going, and I think if you're losing sleep, you should sell some of your holdings if you're losing sleep.
Of weed. Well.
Or smoke some.
And then sleep.
If you're losing sleep, smoke some weed.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, okay. So there you have it.
That's a rough day.
That's a rough day. Let's see who the big loser is in the CSE, because actually the CSE is often quite large cap. Yes, we are going to reorganize our indexes soon enough. Cresco Labs is. It's down $1.84, but see, there's so much flotsam and jetsam. This Prevceutical shell is, right up there. Aura Health, 7 cents, meh. Orchid Ventures, meh, 12 cents. Suniva, $1.59, up 26 cents, almost 20%. What the hell?
What's the ticker? What's the...
Suniva, SNN. The stock that was trading at $15 less than a year ago.
No.
Yes.
Say it ain't so.
Forefront Ventures has finally caught a bid, up 11 cents to up 15.5% to 82 cents. That's nice. Look at Golden Leaf Holdings auguring further into the ground as it moves closer and closer to becoming a baffed out, spent piece of jet trash shell that's going to get repurposed into something else.
I think the company that's now called something Jane.
Mary Jane.
Mojave Jane.
Yeah, we do that.
Mojave Jane, I think traded as, I think I saw a print today at 11 cents.
Really?
Now,
why are we even following that one anymore?
Oh, no, I look at them all. I'm just talking about,
You want another 11 center to look at? Here's one. Orchid Ventures.
Yeah?
Yeah, 12 cents.
Yeah? You own that one?
No, don't own any 12 centers anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Actually.
Isn't it funny how you want to buy them when they're up? And you want to sell them, go down, you sell them. Think about the insanity. Hey, look at this, it's up. I'll go buy it. 6 months later, it's way down. Okay, now I'm going to sell
that piece of shit. I'm out of there.
It is the...
I know.
Oh, it's moving up. Let's buy some more. It's going up.
Anyways, we have Bruce Linton here for a conversation, and here he is. Bruce Linton joins me now of BruceLinton.com, among others. Bruce, welcome back.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even seem to be an option. James says, come, I show up.
That's right. So you've got all these logos all over your body, and I've seen a few press releases with those logos incorporated, and so it sounds like you've made some moves post-Canopy.
Yep.
Tell me about your strategy going forward. You're not going whole hog on any of these things per se.
No.
You're an advisor and an executive chairman.
Yeah. So, and I do have more of these shirts. Like I can move the badge around because your viewers are probably thinking, man, Bruce probably smells bad because he's had that shirt since like Tuesday. So what I try to do, and you and I chat a lot. So I'm always trying to figure out, why do I have anything to offer James in a conversation? Where do I get my information from? What do I know about? And part of what's happened is in the past I could actually meet with like the Minister of Health for something, or the head of the bureaucracy. And it could be in Germany, or it could be in England, or it could be in Canada. I can meet with the provincial leaders, and I could meet with state leaders. And as soon as I was off the field, I immediately knew that I had to either come back in within 3 months or never come back, because you're no value, your texture disappears. So I wanted to be able to have a conversation about dogs, big animals, mammals, all of them. I wanted to be able to have a conversation about prohibition around psychedelics. So because listen, the reason I started in the cannabis space is my observation was that prohibition was a terrific barrier behind which there was probably all kinds of potential intellectual property, and if you did it right, you could actually get going big enough and create value through IP and execution. So I look at psychedelics as simply things that have been poorly governed. And I don't think that the therapeutic potential has been properly explored. And I'm not talking just psilocybin, I'm talking about a broad spectrum of psychedelics, that there are pockets, like you can do certain things in Australia for trials that you can't do in, say, Canada or the US.
Sure.
And so this one, which is poorly run, it's Mind Medicine. It's a private company, but they've been really working at it, putting some really good researchers together for a couple of years, few years. And so I bought, I think I own about 8 or 10% of it, and I'm going to sit as the chair. And it allows me to actually get into that conversation, which I think will be, it's not for parties. This is going to be like, suppose someone has self-harming, depressive state thoughts, or someone has a condition which maybe it's a little bit where sometimes if people have a certain condition, when they have feelings actually become sort of thoughts and facts. And so they use microdosing of LSD, but the problem with microdosing of LSD is that it's not regulated, they don't have mechanisms of delivery, and it's not good. And so there's other things which are very good for weaning people from opioids. And if you play with the molecules, maybe you can reduce the hallucinogenic effect. And so Mind Medicine's got a trial ready to go to the FDA for that. So I like that one. And then maybe we should just use a shirt as like a bra. So
a whiteboard.
Well, and so like what I like with the better dog food or dog care areas, they have a whole bunch of direct-to-consumer pieces that they put together through acquisitions, which means they have a platform for income and customers. What they really want to do is, and they have a mission which I aligned with, is great, we're going to work on dogs. We're going to think about old dogs. We're going to think about anxious dogs. We're going to do a lot of that stuff. But I also like, once we do that, I want to do it in a way that the trials are designed so that it could actually work with mammals, period, that have 4 legs. So like maybe there's a way that certain conditions that you might want to think about for swine, and start disrupting spaces that go bigger than just the domesticated dog.
Sure, that's actually interesting. There's a group developing a CBD feed additive for the pork industry, because 15% of pigs in the process of being grown from piglets to slaughter die from nervous attacks.
Well, and not just that, there's a whole affliction. So when a pig is stressed, it may not eat, and if it does eat, it doesn't gain mass.
Right.
So effectively what you're doing is having it hang around rather than go to the end point at the target time and as fast as possible with the least amount of food.
Right.
And so I think there's a big part there. If you think
Nobody likes a skinny pig.
No, and if you think about dairy cattle, they need to bring in protein so they can actually make more milk. So maybe there's a CBD hemp paste there. So what I want to think about is first the dogs, focus on that, but I want to be able to then say, have we done this research in a way that it opens up other doors? And then if we move up, Gage just opened their first really flagship store in Michigan. And so when I went down there, like what I wanted to see, and when I was running around looking at places, I wanted to see that from the way they produce the cannabis, count, control, harvest, trim, products they make, brands they have, that they're doing the full thing, the best that I think you could do. And when I looked at a bunch of the places around the US, these guys are top notch. And so as Michigan goes from kind of a medical system to both, as we get to 2020, I think these guys are locked and loaded to do it right. Very good at what they do, very interesting and good capital in there. There's not a lot of, sort of, oh God, why did you sell that guy a stock? It's actually clean. I was supposed to have an MSO done. And an MSO ends up being a multi-state operator.
I thought that was the trading symbol.
Yeah, no, so it's just beautiful fashion, Jake. But with that is they're much bigger market caps.
Right.
The deals are complicated because in all these, what I want to have is equity exposure that's greater than the cash I put in, because I'm going to put a lot of work in. And the MSO one, therefore, maybe needed potentially shareholder approval and or listing exchange approval. And so that one got delayed. And so that means that I'm kind of having, to work through that over the weekend probably. And these two down here, Slang and DNA. Slang is, it's trading under a buck.
We've had Peter Miller in before.
Yeah, so Peter and Billy have something good going, but they did some of the things that people do when they first list. They listen to people. Shouldn't listen to people.
Right.
Somebody tells you got to do guidance. You know what guidance is? This. Hey, watch me. Watch me. This is watch what I do. Like, it's just, you don't need to do that. So we need to, with slang, it's get back to the focus of the business, continue to execute, which they're good at, pull the trigger on the acquisitions as they have them, and let people understand why, an 85-cent stock is going to become a $1 stock, and why a $1 stock done the right way becomes a $1.50 stock. And before you know it, they're not thinking about why should I not sell some of this? They'd be thinking about why I wish I bought more of it.
Right.
And so we got to work on that. And DNA genetics, these guys... I
know Don and Aaron.
Don and Aaron are
actually,
great.
I know Don, I should say. I've not met Aaron, though. I was sitting across from him recently.
These guys I met probably 6 years ago.
Right.
And because I don't know anything, I organized a breakfast meeting in, I think it was Denver, with these guys on I think it was a Saturday. Now, if you know Don and Aaron, especially then, you do not organize breakfast meetings at like 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday, because I don't know if they've ever been to a breakfast meeting before. And what I've seen over the time, though, is these guys have gone from, they love the life, great growers, good party, to they like that stuff, but they also have learned a ton about business, structure, licensing. And if you look back at their history, they were in California, they were doing their stuff, and they realized if we don't move to the Netherlands and do our work there, we could have some headaches. So they spent quite a lot of time in Holland doing their genetic work. So they were sort of in the mix with, you couldn't really say Sensi, greenhouse, and exclude DNA from the conversation. And the stuff they've made, I know that it sells well because it does in Canada, and I know that people respect it because I think they've won more cannabis cups than anyone else.
Is DNA public already?
No, so they're a private company,
okay.
And what I think that has to happen for them is their business model needs to be explained because it's a lot of leverage on a licensing model. They've recently done an acquisition, so they picked up one of their customers became part of theirs, so they can actually have a sort of a grow to show. And I think they're ready to become, they've got a really good management team around, they're ready to become a public company. So I wanted to invest before they're there.
All right. Yeah, I met with Charles. Actually, Charles was on our show in Los Angeles. He was one of the first guys on our show.
Yeah. Charles is
actually, Don has been on our show with Allison Gordon from 48 North interviewing him, which was hilarious. So that's an interesting.
Charles impressed you, I bet.
Charles is very impressive. Oh yeah, Charles is the businessman in the crowd, obviously, and I'm sure you met Rez, who's their corporate development, who's actually the brand ambassador extraordinaire, if you ask me.
I would say he is, and Aaron is probably one of those people like, you and I, if we get those flat hats and we get it to go over our ears, I don't think I look very good with that. Aaron looks like $1 million, and he's like, he is the grower, he's the breeder, he's in the scene, and he is one of those guys that, he has a lot of ideas that seem kind of out there when he says them, and 2-3 years later they make a lot of sense. Like, 5 years ago, he's like, why isn't all Gatorade filled with CBD and get rid of that other crap? Because it would actually be way better for sports recovery than stupid Gatorade.
Absolutely.
And that sounds common sense now.
Right.
5 years ago, when you're saying Gatorade should be in the business or they should get run over, he was kind of out there.
Right, no doubt. So then, overall, you've become more of an investor, an advisor, than an operational manager.
Yeah, I'm not going to be. I can't be hired to be a CEO. The issue is unless I'm fully. It's my thing, my way, and I got to go and do it. Right now, what I want to do is be in the conversation with the regulators. I want to be in the strategy discussion. I want to be part of that part, but I don't want to do anybody's annual review.
Right.
I'm terrible at those. Even by the time, so really the reason Canopy worked pretty well was Zakulin, Mark, he ran down everything in, and I ran out. Board, money, media, a lot of meetings with regulators.
Right.
If I go in, I got to bring somebody like Zakulin, and he's still got a job, and then he has a non-compete.
Sure.
Because, I think annual reviews, for example, if you work for me, you don't need an annual review. If you're still there at the end of the year, I like you. You're good. You're doing a great job. Keep working. If you're not doing a good job, I fired you, and you're not here at the end of the year.
Right.
I find that's pretty clear.
That's a pretty obvious outcome for an annual review.
And if I see you and I think, I don't want to give you any more options, that means that we're not on the same page. So we'll talk about why I don't want to give you more options.
Yeah.
And what it would take to become more valued that I actually, because options are really a way to say, I want a future with you here.
Okay.
And if I don't feel that, then we should talk about it because there's some issue.
Are you concerned at all of overextending yourself across too many brands to the point where your effect on the visual effect, the valuation effect of the Bruce Linton effect becomes diminished because you're perceived to be overextended?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's going to be some people who think that. My worry was more that I get blindsided because I get really narrowly focused and I only do something that aims at geriatric dogs. And I put all my time and money there. Because in Canopy, what worked was having a global perspective across everything from what we were doing with the Beckley Foundation in the UK, which had a long history in psychedelics and things, to what we were doing with animal care, because we had a whole bunch of stuff going on there, to what we were doing with extraction, production, brand development, brand building, brand placement in 16 countries and 10 places in Canada. And so what I liked is knowing how Germany was influencing what was becoming the best plan that you could come up with for Spain, Greece, or Portugal. And I need to be able to see on the US, what was starting to happen is we looked a lot, got to know acreage, got that deal done. I wanted to be able to know that we would, at some point in time, have a platform there, but I wanted to know what were the conversations with the governors, who was pushing what was the real agenda. Now I can go to that again. And so I think this combination simply means that I'm not going to be out of the conversation on enough of the breadth to actually be really informed. And so, I think a lot of people think, well, you should just do one thing and do it really deeply. Like, I started Canopy and I was still running for 5 years at the beginning, Martello. So I had 2 full-time jobs there. And then for the last 2.5, 3 years, I was in the back trying to make Rockify, which is the thing that's just coming along. And so I guess I've never been perfect at just doing one thing. And I feel like it's a much lesser load by far than I had when I was trying to build and create Canopy.
Cool. All right, where's the next great frontier in the cannabis space globally that has been underexploited in your opinion?
So I just flip it upside down and say, who's your customer? So if you're doing geriatric care and you're making the aged environment way less full of pharmaceuticals, less drug-on-drug interaction, and creating an environment, it's going to become a differentiator for those environments that support that and do that. And the companies that make those products are going to be massively disruptive to anybody who's a pharmaceutical company who goes after that cohort. I don't think we've explored, I still think that CBD can become free, because if people grow the right kind of hemp and do the right things, they can actually monetize the other aspects of the plant. And so maybe that's where if you had free CBD and you went to that company that you mentioned with the swine product, they could actually offer to put their supplement in for free and take the upside shared yield gain of the 15% not being stressed and dying.
Right.
And so I think that the model's going to change over and say, how am I doing a great job by niche? And so those are two, I love animal care. I love this. I think it's going to be a little longer road, but the therapeutic possibilities of other psychedelics, I think, is totally misunderstood. And as big states, people don't get, Michigan's a big deal. It's a big state. They have already a high consumption rate. When states flip over to go from a single kind of medical to really everything, it's kind of like, here, half of Canada just did this today. It's a big deal. So yeah. I think being really strong in a single state is going to probably be interesting, because the MSOs are kind of like this, and they might start wanting to buy those really strong in a single state ones.
Right. Do you think the proliferation of outdoor hemp and cannabis in Canada is going to be a game changer for the economics of concentrates going forward because of the massive supply of outdoor grown feedstock that's coming?
I think so, and I think if you're in that business, it'll be compression. But I don't know how much effect it has really on back to who's your customer. So, I've been a big advocate of beverages. And I think that the format will, now that we see all this, headwinds of vaping and stuff, I keep coming back to the fact that something that goes glug, glug, glug and goes through you is a lot different than inhale. And so in a good beverage, if it has 2 or 2.5, 3 milligrams in a single serving, if that becomes 3 cents of input or is 10 cents of input, it almost has zero effect on the actual sale margin of that product.
We had a party with a group of prototype beverages, homemade of course, and it was funny because I think the dosage was about 2 to 3 milligrams per 12-ounce serving, and by 10 o'clock, the party was almost silent because everybody had 2 or 3 and was, sufficiently high that, it became a very different kind of party. It'll be interesting to see how the beverages play out.
Well, and which ones you want to make, right? Like that quiet experience, those might be good beverages to serve if people are going at an art gallery.
Or a yoga class.
They might might not be the best choice if you're going to a comedy club.
Right.
When did the audience all die? No, they're just in their own head.
Or you're going to give a speech.
But so I think really when you see compression on price per milligram, I'm not sure it has a material effect, positive or negative, on finished goods.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and we're seeing a continuation of the devaluation of the cannabis sector globally in the publicly traded realm. Do you think that's a byproduct of the vape sort of crisis that is sort of causing cannabis to be perceived as being fundamentally part of that problem?
I'd say maybe. I think part of it is there's just no other current amazing news. So suppose all of a sudden the U.S. House and Senate start getting a little active on the topic. You could see that sparking things up. You could see when people start rolling out and showing what the packaging is like and the images of the 2.0 products, that'll help. There's at least a few cannabis companies that are doing phase 2 and some phase 3 trials that I bet they'll start reading at the end of this year, beginning of next year. And if they can start reading data that says, in fact, this does this in this dosage, deliver this way, those are market moving things. Right now all we can talk about is apparently you shouldn't vape vitamin E, and apparently CannTrust can find new ways to get in more challenges. And for those people watching, if the stock's still $1 and you're holding it, why? Why are you holding the stock? Why
I can't imagine why it still goes up.
How? Maybe someone will buy the property and grow more illegal cannabis, but why are you buying and holding the stock?
Right.
I don't get it. I got a call yesterday from a journalist, and they said, what do you think is going to happen with those assets? And I said, well, I know it should have happened a long time ago. They should have been bought by somebody, and the assets get used. Now we're in a domain once you have your licenses, they're gone, right? I think they said this is no longer a licensed site, and the site's not licensed. You can't do anything.
Well, licenses are non-transferable, anyways.
Right, but you think you're the regulator, and to a regulator, this is like the scene of a triple homicide, basically.
Yeah.
So do you think the regulator's going to say, well, the triple homicide, that wasn't really traumatic for me. I'm okay with relicensing this site. It just feels like it'd be very hard to get people really comfortable to relicense there right away.
Yeah.
I think. I would be, people are people, and that's
right.
That's
I'm hoping it accumulates a huge discount because of that perception, and buy it for pennies on the dollar and then relicense it, change the name and drive on. It'll be forgotten in this atmosphere of 20-second news cycles eventually. But anyways, Bruce.
Or what could happen is it gets so cheap you could buy it and grow the world's most secure tomatoes, which was back to my plan B in case I didn't get a license in Smiths Falls.
Right.
And those, who knows?
High-tech tomatoes.
You could have I hope someone puts a lid on it. It's no more talk.
Lipocene, which is a major compound in tomatoes, is shown to have great qualities for antioxidants in skin, preventing you from aging. So I think there might be a future there.
World's most secure tomatoes.
Yeah. Bruce, let's leave it there for now. Thanks you very much for joining me as usual.
Thanks, Ben.
If you're enjoying the show, subscribe to Midas Letter on YouTube so you stay up to date on everything investment. Hey, we're back, everybody. That's Bruce's. I love Bruce's T-shirt.
He's spread around.
Yeah,
he's got his fingers in different dikes.
He's hoarded himself out good and proper,
Anyway, that T-shirt.
We love Bruce.
You know what?
Well, but now we got to take a look at some of these companies and see what happens.
We got to follow them.
Yeah, let's pull up a couple charts here and see. Gauge was one. Wait a sec. Where's the old Midas Letter charts? If I'm going to pull up a chart, I should do it on our own website, shouldn't I?
Yeah, maybe we should have got the charts ready.
Well, no, but I like the way we sort of do things spontaneously.
Yeah, me too.
Gauge. Let's see. Invalid symbol.
There you go. Are these public or private or both?
Gauge US. Oh, energy fund. No, that's not it.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What do you think of this Indian summer this week? That's kind of nice. Of course, it's...
What kind of summer?
Indian.
You can't say that. Did you see what's happening to the Prime Minister just for dressing up like an Arabian on an Arabian Nights night?
I'm sorry.
Jesus, you trying to get us thrown in jail here?
Onion, I said.
Onion night.
Onion summer.
Onion summer. Did you grow any onions this summer?
Nunion.
That's Funyon.
You know what? I got a big bunion. You know what? That was so spontaneous. Spontanean.
Is that like an Italian spontaneity?
Like it was spumante.
Yeah. Do you think my voice is going to last till 4 o'clock today?
I hope not.
Oh, zing.
Ooh, straight in the keister.
Anyways, like a lot of heavy promotion going on the chat room here.
Yeah.
I've got Mr. Lou 1990 hammering on HBC. Right. We've got a lot of people pumping FFNT, which is formerly CanX.
Yeah.
I spoke to a former CanX participant. Oh, look at that! There's my phone.
There you go.
Ringing at. Don't they know I'm? Clearly, they're not watching the show. All right. So today, let's take a look at the gold price.
I'm going to do it as soon as my code stream kicks in.
Oh, when's that going to be?
You know what? I hope it's soon.
Hey, Brad Shaker joins us from CB2 Insights. Let's check that out. Prad Shaker joins me now, CEO of CB2 Insights. Prad, welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Prad, can you give us an overview of what exactly is the business of CB2 Insights first, please?
Sure. So we're a research and data technology company. We play within the medical cannabis sector only, so it's a global company. We've been around since 2014. We have offices now in Canada, US, just launched into the UK and Colombia as well. The company focuses on evidence-based outcomes for medical cannabis. So if you're a drug developer or playing within the medical cannabis sector, safety, efficacy, all these are typical kind of things that you need to identify on a drug that's being commercialized.
Sure.
So we specialize using very unique technology to be able to run clinical trials and effectively gather data on the clinical use of medical cannabis.
Oh, so you're not a grower or a product manufacturer?
We don't actually touch the product at all.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
so you
ancillary.
specialize in clinical trials for companies that want to develop clinical drugs, medical drugs.
Yeah, so we do third-party clinical trials. We actually do our own testing as well within our own centers that we have in the U.S. market currently.
Okay.
And a big part of the data as well is to see how it can inform sort of future guidelines and recommendations and
Right.
drug development.
So do you focus on, like you've got CB in the name, is that strictly CBDs that you're focused on?
CB2. So the idea behind it was a fun spin into cannabis insights.
I see.
So, yeah.
Interesting. So are you a profitable company at this point?
So we do have a profitable division. So our U.S. So we have three areas of the business: clinical operations, product and data analytics, and then we have a research division as well. So the clinical operations is primarily focused in the U.S. currently. So we own and operate the largest network of medical clinics right now that specialize in medical cannabis evaluation. So we have about 35 locations, 14 states. We service over 100,000 patients a year, unique patients, and that operates as a profitable business. And so the profits from that business go to fund technology and research, which we're now starting to commercialize. And we actually just released a new press release this morning that announced our second licensing of our technology platform in the UK market. So we're starting to see added revenue streams coming in and the new revenue opportunities that are being created.
Interesting. So then, are your customers other LPs or other cannabis pharmaceutically oriented companies, or who are your customers?
Yeah, so we focus right now, you would call them licensed producers. Split between the two, we focus on producers that are looking at medical cannabis as cannabis-derived medications. So running trials and getting data on flower is very difficult. So we look at producers that are manufacturing products or single-use medications per se, and then specifically help them with either understanding their product's use in the market from a post-marketing surveillance perspective, or helping them through the actual drug development process as well. We also work with third-party research organizations as well. So we announced over the summer we partnered with Drug Science in the the UK, which is a third-party independent research organization. So these are groups that are looking to do their own establishment of trials in certain markets, leveraging technology that we've developed, leveraging our experience and know-how within the US and Canadian markets.
So the focus is on a technological differentiator to the usual business of running clinical trials for companies?
Yeah, so the anchoring aspect of the company is really based on tech. So it's what we call as electronic data capturing, clinical data management systems. And you've got this in a variety of different verticals of healthcare. What makes it unique is that you've got this tech that allows you to specialize in running a very specific area of healthcare and running trials in that space, and its quality of data capturing and its quality of data reporting. So what we designed through experience was the system's able to follow the workflow of a medical cannabis evaluation in a real clinical setting. So it makes it much faster for a company who's looking to deploy a clinical trial in the space. They don't have to do all these customizations. It's not as expensive. So using that as an anchor, we usually enter relationships. And then from there, we usually find sometimes clients also need help with the actual deployment of a clinical trial. And so we've got an in-house CRO. We do complete end-to-end clinical trials. So we can assist sort of as a one-stop shop across helping them recruit patients, helping them build patient networks using technology, and then actually running the CRO trials as well.
Wow, sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so then how does the business scale over time?
So we started primarily technology here in Canada. It's where our method center is. Our biggest market right now is in the US because that's where we spent the last few years really establishing that market. And we're starting to see an evolution of medical cannabis, especially from data-driven outcomes coming out of markets like Europe and South America. So we're starting to make headway into those markets. UK obviously is our first European entry. We just launched our Colombian office as well, and we're starting to enter conversations around doing clinical trials there as well. Colombia is an interesting market. It's going to be a great source for clinical trials, we think. I mean, obviously there's ability to do clinical trials at lower costs, but also the regulatory compliance is also much easier down there as well. So for us in scalability, it's going to be licensing technology to more players, publishing more research, getting involved in more of the medical side of the industry, and starting to really support drug developers in bringing products to market.
The conventional perception in the investor space is that if you're going to take a product from zero to FDA licensing, that is a drug, that you're looking at a minimum of $800 million and probably a 10-year cycle.
Yeah.
Does that still apply for cannabis? And if it does, where can you do it cheaper?
Yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting market, and we have this conversation frequently. So we'll talk to producers who say, I want to be the next, GW Pharma in the industry. And we go, okay, well, you understand that that's going to take a significant amount of time, right? I mean, it's not a quick effort.
Took them, 15 years?
Right, and it's going to cost a lot of money. And at the end of the day, sure, you get a patented product that can be marketed and can be commercialized, and you can protect your product. And ultimately, no one's piggybacking off of your data. Well, the reality is in the medical cannabis sector, people are still piggybacking off of the research that's out there. And so you've got this product that can be sold as a medicine. And in a lot of markets, it can be sold under a special access program where you don't need to get it really registered the same way any other drug does. And for years, it's got all this safety data. I mean, people have used cannabis for years. We know that it's not killing people, and we know that its efficacy is not fully understood, and we know that we don't understand its addiction capabilities, but there's a lot of research that's being committed into there. So we talk to producers and we say, look, you can go one of two ways. You can go the traditional drug development route, but be prepared for time and money. And a lot of producers need to be able to also show value to shareholders sooner. So that means that take the products that you've already developed and start to create post-marketing data around it, and start to at least generate data to at least support the claims you're making when you're educating physicians or helping doctors prescribe your product better. So there's a variation. I think there's an evolution of the industry, and I think it depends from a producer's perspective how they want to position themselves. I don't think it's exclusive. I think you can have products that exist today in the market, and you could be working on future product formulations that will eventually be patented and FDA approved. But I think there's definitely an opportunity to do a bit of both.
I actually possess a license to sell medical cannabis products in a Latin American country. And they have said, the Minister of Health, who I'm dealing directly with, has said that they need to see what kind of clinical data we have on any product we want to introduce as a medical product and what approvals we have from existing medical authorities. Well, obviously, the only medically approved compounds in the system globally are GW Pharma's Epidiolex, Dronabinol, Marinol, and anything more or less that is derived from a synthetic THC molecule could theoretically make it through that process. But more likely, we have to explain to the health authority that no, this isn't licensed anywhere yet, but we can generate clinical data demonstrating its safety, efficacy, absence of side effects, etc.
Yeah.
Is that where you would come in?
Yeah, so it's actually in one of two ways. It's interesting you say that. So some governments, like in Colombia, for example, in VIMA, will allow sale of products if you can show some data to support it. And so we use this term loosely. It's called real-world data and real-world evidence. It's basically showing that a product's been used in some capacity, and that validates at least the product to be able to be tested further. And so you can take the cannabinoid profiles that are within the product that you're selling and say, look, there's been trials conducted on high CBD products or blended THC CBD products, and it's had an efficacy on this indication that I'm looking to sell my product for, and it clearly has some value. So that should allow me to at least submit initial information to say, let me sell my product in the market, but I will deliver clinical results if I were to do it through a trial. And so we aggregate a ton of data on usage patterns of patients and what products they're using at a clinically validated level. And this data could be useful in helping to generate that initial, let's call it, acceptance for getting a product to clinical trials. Right. And it doesn't have to be the traditional phase 1, phase 2 trials, but rather, sure, get your product into market and prove to me that it's working. So, get 5 physicians to start prescribing it, track it over 6 months, and then show me that that product is not hurting anybody and that it's actually having a positive effect on someone's health outcome.
Brad, we are going to have many more conversations,
Sure.
I can assure you that, but in the context of this show, we're going to have to leave it there for now.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for joining me today.
Well, no, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at midasletter.com. So Vivian Azer picked 3 stocks yesterday. Was it yesterday on CNBC? Was it CNBC? Boy, I don't really know what's going on. Vivian Azer picked her top 3 U.S. MSOs, and the first one was Green Thumb Industries. The second one was Cresco. No, third one was Cresco.
Yes.
The second one was what company? For $500, Ed?
500 cash?
Yeah.
I'm going to say True Leaf.
I'm not even going to tell you who it was.
Who was it?
I'm not telling you.
Kronos.
No, it wasn't actually.
Kronos is taking on water today, ladies and gentlemen. It's sort of accelerating to the downside, as is, well, weed's taken out 5 successive good days, and in one day, that's a bear market. When one day wipes out 5 hard days of work to the upside, the bears are in control. That's what Dan would say.
The second company was Cureleaf, by the way.
That's what I was going to say. Let's try it again. But let's double up the money.
Okay. First company of her top pick was Green Thumb Industries.
Right.
The third one was Cresco Labs.
Right.
You give me $500 if you get the second one right.
True Leaf?
Ed, that's the sign of insanity.
You said you give me. You give me.
Boy, nothing slow about you here.
Tricky. You're sure your name's not Dicky?
Oh,
Tricky
boy.
Dicky?
Anyway. So what's going to happen in the cannabis space here, Ed? I think that everything's falling out of bed.
You know what? I've got to tell you, I've been around this game 40 odd years. I've made a lot of mistakes, and when you make a lot of mistakes, it burns images into your psyche.
Oh, like a tattoo.
Well, yeah, it's sort of
more like a brand.
A spiritual tattoo.
Have you got branded anywhere?
Oh yeah, my brain is branded. Anyway, I would say if you're losing sleep over your portfolio and it's heavily invested and you can't sleep, you should pare down.
Really?
Pare down.
I think you should just dump all cannabis stocks.
Well, I think it's going to be a.
There's not a cannabis stock.
What's going on? I feel like I'm
There's
riding.
not a cannabis stock I think you can buy today that you won't be able to buy cheaper in a week.
You know, the week thing is not the problem. We are going back to reasonable valuations.
Reasonable?
And well, you know what, folks? This is serious.
Reasonable.
I don't own any marijuana stocks. I smell a fire, a conflagration. Yeah. Anyway, that's I'm not trying to look. I've held on to and hoped before. Doesn't work.
Really?
No, you can't.
Hope is not a strategy.
I got a strategy. Let's hope. Why, are you serious?
You want to make money, you buy it, and then you hope like hell that it goes up.
I hope. No, you just say, well, I know I'm right. How do you know? Well, just the same way I know that, whatever, right? The capacity to believe in things that don't exist.
Well,
let's pray. Maybe we'll sit around and pray is a good
prayer. Prayer is a solid strategy in the context of public markets. I don't know why everybody doesn't pray.
You know what? And really, don't take this may not come back for a while, folks.
The Wall Street Journal today is suggesting that high-dose opioids helped fuel Purdue Pharma's growth.
Yeah.
Is that like the understatement of the century?
You know what? There was a show on 60 Minutes, and they talked about that one town where that town consumed like 4 million pills of their product.
And is everybody dead?
No, it was just like the town's hooked.
Oh, well, 4 million tabs for a population of 350.
I think it was on a 60-minute show and talking about OxyContin. Is that right? That's what we're talking about here, OxyContin.
Oxycodone or OxyContin?
You say tomato, I say...
They're both different brands of the same thing.
What's the difference between a potato and a tomato?
One's red, one's white? Or red?
I think there's a T in front of one and a P in front of the other. That's all. Just saying.
And then did you hear that Purdue Pharma asked the bankruptcy court to stop suing the Sacklers?
Really? Yeah.
How's that for
they're having it tough.
Poor Sacklers.
You know what?
They made billions off of killing people, and now the court thinks that they shouldn't be sued. How about fuck you?
You know what I got to believe at some point? They're going to say sugary drinks are anathema to our species. And, just saying. Like, why not take a coconut and drink the coconut water? That makes some sense, right? Okay, I'll give you that one. But man, like sugary drinks.
Do you know how many lawsuits there are against Purdue Pharma right now?
Okay, let me take a wild guess. Okay. 132.
Nope.
Can you tell me if I'm getting warmer?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say 2,800.
Close. 2,600.
What? You guys are the control room are blind.
2,600 lawsuits are alleging the company and its controlling Sackler family helped fuel the U.S. opioid crisis.
Well, I think in Ireland, the 6 and the 8 get confused a lot because of their propensity for the drink.
Say that again? What?
I don't know.
What was that? What did you say?
I said there's the people, everybody likes to drink, some more than others.
I don't.
The Irish have a, propensity for the drink.
I'm half Irish.
Yeah, you do. I could.
My Latvian half is kicking in though.
You stopped drinking, so you're no longer Irish.
Apparently,
starting
to make sense.
Look at the Poles have their own problem.
Poles, Polski ogórki.
Polski ogórki.
What about little Polski
pickle
ogórki?
Juice. Pickle juice. You know pickle juice.
Have you ever had fermented pickle juice?
No.
No. Would you try it?
No.
As a remedy for a hangover?
Maybe.
Have you watched Billions season 4 yet?
You suck a pickle, okay? You're going to get some juice out of it, or you can drink it right out of the.
That's pickle juice.
What's the difference?
Well, one's not. They're both not fermented.
Okay. Maybe you put a little sugar in there, make it a sugary drink.
Sweet pickle juice.
That could be a song.
I think we should call it the Sweet Jesus.
I want some sweet.
Give me your sweet pickle juice. Sweet pickle. No, okay.
Okay, you know what? I think we've got to get back to
right, the show. We're doing a show here, Ed. Let's see. Reuters today was reporting, among other things, that our internet connection is so slow.
What were they reporting? Tell me what they're reporting. And you know what I'm going to do?
Well, Iran is warning that there's a war, that if the U.S. attacks Iran as a result of the Saudis bombing themselves with their drones, that there's going to be a hell to pay, because the Iranians have all these weapons that are pointed at the United States. Does that worry you?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't think it does now, because you know what? I'm going to be 68 soon, and I sort of feel like it's only
as you age, you find that you don't really give a shit more and more.
Like you know what? You can only say this once you get to a certain age, but I found there's a real chasm at around the 60 mark. You're not 60 yet, are you?
No, 55.
It's coming.
It's 56, I think.
Every
I'm not
day,
actually sure anymore.
tick tock, tick tock. Can't stop. Never stops. Anyway, yeah, you don't care as much.
No.
You don't care as much.
No, you just don't care. Tomorrow we have Dan McDermott on the show. Dan's going to be here. Going to be talking to Dan. We're going to talk to the CEO of TerraSend as well. He's going to be here at 3 p.m. tomorrow.
You notice when you talk to Dan that it's always about who's in charge, the Bulls or the Bears.
Yeah.
And he's right, because we're so sophisticated now. Everything is both ways, right? For every bull, I won't say it's 1-to-1. What I'm saying is there's these forces, and whoever wins that day, or who's in charge, who's in control.
In terms of the
the power, the power to sell, the power to buy, and that's how it just moves around. It's like foosball,
Huh?
You ever think about that?
No.
It's like a volcano ready to explode.
Really? Brexit. European Commission has once again cultivated a perception that there may actually be a deal to be had for the feckless Britain. Does that fill you with a sense of glee at all, Ed?
No.
No?
Do you think that they're really sort of falling apart over there in England, like in terms of their polarization? Or is everybody becoming polarized? Seems like
I'm going to the North Pole.
Yeah. Like the situation in the U.S., situation in Britain.
Good or bad?
I don't know.
What's it going to do for the global economy? What's it going to do for markets? Jean-Claude Juncker, the European Commission president, has opened the door to a possible Brexit deal. What kind of deal do you think they're going to do there?
I think ultimately they're not going to. Is it secede? Is it secede?
Succeed?
No, S-E-C-E-D-E.
Secede.
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 It's a seed.
It's a seed.
It's a seed.
A seed.
Okay.
All right.
What do you think?
What do I think of what? What do you think of RavenQuest Biomed with the orbital technologies, the orbital gardens? I am going to.
Now, are these? Do they put them in orbit?
No, they orbit around a light.
A light.
A light.
So they're orbiting.
They're not a seed. They're a light.
Oh, so you want to mirror the sort of what happens during the night and the day.
No.
You want to keep them up all day?
Keep them up all night.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Everybody needs their sleep. I think plants do too.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we're all, it's just a different arrangement of atoms. Just saying.
What do you make of the Israeli election? How close the
is Netanyahu back in?
Oh well, that's with the coalition. Yes.
Ah, coalition. What's a coalition? Is that
a combination of parties to
coal
achieve
mining? Coal mining?
Minority government.
Right.
Nobody's in charge. That means everyone's in charge, except the guys who aren't in the coalition.
I'm going to put up the chart of the S&P here.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to put up a chart because look at this. We got a red candle today. Red candle. Okay, let's put up a 1 month chart, 3 month chart. Look at this. I think this looks like there's something going on here. You got that red candle. You got this red candle. As it tries to go up, it can't. I mean, again, we're talking very short term. Just looks like there's a lot of resistance there in the S&P. It may be rolling over. It may be doing something like what this did over here. We may get the same thing, if you can just imagine, rolling back down the other side of the mountain. This top is still intact. This failed is still intact. So let's see what happens. Looks like a windshield or something. I don't know what that looks like.
You sound so decisive there, Ed.
Holy jumping. That's actually quite lewd, but forget about it.
Yeah, some of the comments on the from the chat room. Everybody's a little bit upset that Nelson Peltz has been quiet on Aurora Canopy.
Well, I don't know. Do you get options or do you get paper?
Paper options.
So
paper options.
Well, if options probably aren't worth anything.
No, they're definitely not worth anything. They were 12 bucks.
Yeah, stocks. Okay, let's look at that's a big one. I heard
JG says, okay, another great show of Ed and James's dumb jokes. Hey.
Well, at least you knew they were jokes.
That's right. You think we're dumb, you're the one watching.
Well said.
Is that, do you think it's wrong of us to abuse the audience?
No, you know what? Look, we're all just stupid people.
Yeah.
That's all we are, going down the same stupid river in a boat.
With a bunch of stupid paddles.
And then one day, there's this sound, you think, what the hell is that noise?
And it's the waterfall. So anyways, there's our show for today, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, well, there's nothing we can do about that, but please sign up on our website at MidasLetter.com and subscribe, and then you can maybe watch back and we'll get a show, and the next time we're on, you get an automatic update, invite, and all that stuff, and hopefully my voice will be back tomorrow because I'm losing it.